not so much, and I'm running away with this a little too much, but I think you get the point. Sometimes youthful exuberance can come into play and work in your favour, especially when the pressure's on. We will have to see though. It's going to be an interesting battle. Best of one contest again, as is the way with ESEA main. So it's possible to catch a team cold. AGF going to be leading the charge already. A bit of aggression shown at party from Luzza, who very quickly gets out of dodge. It's a tough map overpass, especially on the CT side. There's a lot of different ways that you can play it, and I personally don't think I have decided what the best way to play either one of these sites is. As the push now coming in. So AGF showed themselves over towards the A area before hightailing it to B. Whether he gets one, make that two, and Pulse and Aaron chip it in as well. So that was a solid hold. Super solid hold. Showed themselves over towards A. That didn't work in their favour actually, as Luzza in particular pushed all the way up to party. As soon as he saw pressure and aggression, he dropped himself back. That meant he was able to rotate quickly when they made the play onto B. Endpoint first round on the board then. They'll be looking to push through and take these next couple. No real opportunities on CT side to add some extra cash into the coffers from bomb plants and the like. AGF may be able to go for a third round AK buy if they can get themselves a plant here. If they want to, they might be working to a different method. Again, just looking for opportunities. So 3 Deagles and a CZ. Try and open up an angle. Try and retrieve a weapon if they can. Notan spamming towards long. Maybe saw a flash of some movement from Bankluz. He's got 2 players around him, coming in behind him actually. Let's see if he has any problems with that. Chances are the players that are working in around him won't be too keen on pushing, and actually the push does come. Fagan digs Chris, his own teammate, in the face and takes him down completely. Weber at the bin, able to pick up a frag as well, so Curley has to walk round. Got himself to Optimus. That's roughly where the plant's going to come in. Both these guys on low HP. Haven't played ESEA for a while, so I don't know whether his teammates will have that information as of yet. I think you tend to get the feeling. Sometimes CSGO registration counts against you, but more often than not, you know that you've hit someone and you'll have a rough idea of what HP you've taken them down to. His Endpoint cleanup. Those are interesting little situations. He's here in the toilets watching this garden area. He's got 2 players stacking up inside here behind him, and it was one of those players that actually stepped out and took Mighty Max while he was over on the site. So not the best situation. I think they were lucky that AGF got the team kill in there. It became a real scuffle around the toilets, and everyone, Endpoint and AGF, were confused equally, I think, and allowed enough time for the rotate to come in. So Endpoint get themselves to a 2-zip situation. AGF just buying down to about 2k, so they're going to be looking for a full AK buy next time out. Probably can't go for the AWP as of yet, unless someone wants to glass cannon. And the AWP I don't think is hugely important on this map on T side. We'll talk about a few uses of it very soon, but this is, in my opinion, a real situational weapon. As Notan, he lives up to his name. We haven't got to call trading standards on him. He does pick up a 1D. Fagan pushes in with Weber trying to do some work. Luzza comes in with the Will he be able to stop the plant coming in? Yes, he does. The bomb dropped on the site. 3 players against the solitary Dane. TM Bro gets 1. I'll make it 2. He's got a chance on Weber up in the window. He now drops into water. I don't think TM Bro will have now to see the drop. He might have heard it though. No matter, Weber is equal to it, and he is starting strong. 6-1 is his score. Started strong when we saw him earlier on this week as well, actually, Weber. Came charging out the gates at a rate of knots and put plenty of frags on the board early doors. Slowed up a bit in the second half when Look like Endpoint were going to get pegged back. Struggling to see out games at times, Endpoint, but we're starting to see an upturn in their fortunes. More wins cropping up on the board. Mighty Max, he's getting aggressive on Party. He's got a teammate to assist and takes Curly down to 28 points health. Weber also going to peak and takes down TM Bro, who was distracted by Mighty Max. Chris does mop up though and grabs Max and still has another player over towards Long. Good trade in the end though from AGF. That's probably worked in their favour slightly. Taking one of the CTs out of it. Which means that you haven't got as many angles covered, especially over towards B site, where you would sometimes or often like to have 3 players in there when the rush actually comes to cover. And it's tough as well because there's only 2 angles, and those 2 angles are choke points going through Monster or going into short. And still, you like to have that extra man that can float and back up between the 2 of them, because if they do get through, which we're going to see now, gives them plenty of space to cover. Once they actually get through, Pols gets one, but he's traded away instantly, and this is advantage to the T's in the first buy v buy. Going to make their way over to the site. Weber, I think his position is known down in the water. Not much he can do from this situation. So he's going to sit, wait and bide his time. Luzza with a nade takes down the bomber who is on low HP. Good use of utility, and Weber, he was able to see enough on Chris. I mean, even with X-Ray, I'm not sure how he would have seen that without, but he did. Maybe a noise trigger, or maybe Luzza even called it for him up in the window. Fagan drops and takes down Weber, but now Luzza just needs to stay alive. He was thinking about facing that, wasn't he? He was tempted, but decides not to. Drops away, and Endpoint put a 4-0 advantage on the board. Again, hindsight's a wonderful thing, but when you have a player that's on such low HP, I can see the argument for sending them with the bomb to make the plant. Make sure that you've got the higher HP players up and standing and ready to frag and ready to trade, but if one nade or one Molotov is going to be the end of them, Pulse throwing a Molotov straight onto short slows down that potential push. Aaron, he's going to get Fagan, who walked through. Not really sure why he pushed through the smoke. Maybe just wanted to get a bit of information. Maybe the full commit onto short would have drawn other players in that direction, but he's pretty much thrown his life away there. Giving Aaron some extra cash. 200% kill bonus. AGF maybe thinking about using the boost. Decide against it. Pulse and Weber just spamming for the time being. Probably knowing that they're not going to be up against much in the way of armor. Pulse with his second on Curly. Chris really needs to step and refrag. Instead, they're going in one at a time. And that is never going to work for you. We go one at a time. Pulse picks up his third. Pulse gets his fourth. And Endpoint put themselves up 5-0. Very strong performance from them early on. So if you see the game freeze for a second, I just had that scary moment where I thought I might have left my microphone muted, but I haven't, so we're all good. You're on board the Crossy of Endpoint TV. Quick shout out to our sponsors, HyperX, Overclockers, Raven and Noble Chairs. If you want to see some more Endpoint action, they're also playing in EPS tonight. So you can check that game out at 9 o'clock UK time. Gives you a good hour if you're inspired to go and play some Counter-Strike of your own. I'm on a very rare winning streak at the moment. Got into rank 5 basic and climbing as Curry makes the opening frag on Mighty Max. Weber, he trades out and gets a guy in the garden, throws that smoke onto Optimus and puts the fire out, so he's got a bit of room to work and a bit of maneuverability. Again, another trade working in favour of AGF Esports. Going to be looking to get themselves on the board here. Aaron's nade cocked and primed, ready to launch into the short area. Nothing coming of that as yet, though. And with 25 seconds left to go on the clock, AGF haven't really committed to anything. That flash is going to slow them up even more, and they've got to be wary they don't carry on with this one at a time thing. And that's exactly what has happened, actually. Need to try and push for a plant. Pulse is cleaning up, and he is padding his stats really nicely, 10 and 2. And it's too easy for him. It's far too easy for him. AGF, all right, I can see the point. I can see the point of what they're trying to do, spread out across the map, try and work a few things. But Endpoint are smart. They are falling back. They're waiting for the pushes to come. And yeah, I can understand. If you play overpass against a pug team on, just face it, random queues or whatever, or matchmaking or ESEA, you name it. Teams tend to avoid overpass. They don't play it that often compared to some of the more mainstream maps, the Cash, the Mirage, the Infernos. As Aaron gets one, make it two, over towards the barrels. It's his turn. 3, Pulse as to his tally. 4, and Notan, last man standing up onto shore. I think he might have been spotted there as well. So Max is just not going to give his life away too easily. Yeah, overpass, one of the lesser played maps, and you know what will often happen is players will get too pushy on the CT side, especially over towards the A site. They will try and engage, and they'll push up to A long. They'll push up towards party. Someone will get picked off there, and that opens up the site. But if you don't get those early picks, you're kind of limiting what you can do, and those A players are just going to fall back onto the site. That's exactly what Endpoint are doing. They're having a little peek. Sometimes they've got the odd frag out of it, but more often than not, they are having a little look, seeing what's there, basically making sure that there's no fast pushes coming in. And when they know it's the case, they are dropping back to the site and inviting that pressure to come on. AGF, if they're going to split and pick with players that have just dug themselves into the site in the trenches, well, the picks aren't going to happen, and they are going to find themselves having to continually rush. We see Notan, he's got himself all the way through into the toilets. Wiggle peeks out. Luz picks up a frag on him. Aaron gets Fagan over towards the other side. Luzza with his second. He's got a third over towards short in the garden that he knows about. He's got teammates covering him onto long. TM Bro is probably going to pick up a crisp dig. Okay, it wasn't crisp, but it's a dig on Aaron as he walks his way into connector. TM Bro goes to try and retrieve the weapon instead, decides that the dig isn't working for him, gets picked up by Pulse rotating in from behind, and it's another comprehensive hold from Team Endpoint. Nice stuff. Overpass, interesting map in terms of side balance. Don't think it's particularly obvious either way, and I think you can make cases for both ways. And sometimes T-side with an AWP, you can make a lot of things happen, or you might find it particularly easy to enter into a site. Just saw an X-ray that Endpoint have set themselves a nice little crossfire over towards Monster. Mighty Max getting pushy through into connector this time. That maybe hasn't panned out, and neither has that crossfire. This is what can happen. Aaron gets one, but he's traded away instantly, and that's the trouble with that spot next to Monster. You will probably only get one before they find you. Weber on the site trying to do what he can, but it leaves Luz the last man standing against 3. He has a CZ in hand, so it's not... Okay, now it's over. Endpoint 8-1. A lot of them have got 10k plus to play with, so drops can go to those who are less fortunate in the money stakes. And the opportunities there is to reset AGF Esports and knock them back. If they go back to a regular loss bonus, then aside from Fagan, no one can really get any weaponry of note. So probably will force them onto another eco. And if that happens, it's going to set the score to 10-1, which is a little bit scary looking, to say the least. Endpoint in that round, they changed it up a little. Mighty Max got a little pushy through the connector, maybe a bit of overconfidence starting to set in, and we see again he's got himself aggressive, and AGF have got these picks that they were found wanting, looking for. Luzza, he has to drop back now. Weber again, caught being a little too aggressive. And now Luzza's on a bit of an island. This is something that can happen on overpass if you lose teammates and you have to drop back and you haven't got all your angles covered. And you pretty much find yourself sitting in, exposed, catching all the utility. So we're seeing now we've got smokes, we've got molotovs, we've got flashes, all of those things coming in. And Endpoint, you have to do something, or you feel like you have to do something. If you're trapped at bins or you're trapped at bank and you've got teammates still alive, your instinct is to think, right, I can't sit here. I've got to try and get out. I've got to try and make something happen. I've got to open up an angle so that my teammates can get out of here and help retake this site. And what tends to happen when you do that is it's very easy for 2-3 players who are sitting and defending that bomb on the T side to just wait you out. See Pulse back at the barrels. A little bit of... let's go back to how we were doing it before, boys, as Pulse, again, is flushed out by the Molotov. Had an opportunity to get a couple of frags, but he was drawn away by the number of players. And again, it's a one-for-one trade. Max comes in from behind, holds a little bit longer this time, waits for AGF to commit to the site just a little bit more, but he gets flashed, and down he goes. Weber again up on the boost spot, down he goes. Lazarov man left alive. Going to save that AWP if he can. And looks like he is probably going to live to fight another day with no one looking to hunt him down. So Endpoint went back to what had been working for them before, sitting back, playing passive, waiting for the AGF commit to come in. But what AGF have done differently this time is they have fully committed to these pushes. When they're going to pick up Mighty Max, trying to rotate from behind, there's 2 of them working as a pair. When they're going into Monster, there is 2, 3 of them making that push, 4 of them making that push, all together as one. And then Pulse, when he steps out, he gets flushed out by the Molotov. He's got 1 to the left, 2 for the right. He tries to pick up the 3K, doesn't really do anything, doesn't soften up their numbers too much, just maybe does 20 here, 30 here, which isn't enough. Even if you could concentrate your fire on 1 or 2 in that situation and make sure that they can catch a nade and go down. But so difficult. It's very easy to go into panic mode when you've got players coming in your direction, no matter how experienced you are or how much faith you have in your own ability. Those are up on the boost. We had the benefit of X-ray, so we could see a player underneath, but Luzza unlikely to fire off any shots from there. Just keeping his cards close to his chest, not wanting to reveal that he has the AWP in hand. At least not yet, anyway. Not unless there's some kind of push coming in on that site. It's like there is very little entertainment going on here over towards B sites. Let's go and have a flick to where the action is. Mighty Max then sitting in the toilets, just waiting, and with 50 seconds left to go on the clock and AGF not really committing to anything, it does beg the question, are they moving too slow again? Well, that's going to be a pick on Max, and thought he might have had the opportunity to sneak in behind them, actually, maybe hearing the noise making its way up towards long, so we'll be calling that information. And the B players not quite rotating yet, but who's this? I think it might be Weber. Looked like he was maybe moving towards A, but no commitment yet. But we have a look at the clock. 20 seconds left to go when they try and make their engagement onto the site. Luzza taken down to 22 points of health. Aaron gets one before Luzza's traded out. They've got the location of Aaron, and down he goes. Weber needs to try and stop the plant from coming in. He won't be able to do that, but he will be able to pull off a crisp 1D on Curly. Does he know about the guy Optimus? I don't think he does at this stage, and no, Fagan picks him up. So AGF Esports get their 3rd round on the board, and Fourth round on the board. 8-4 it is, and seeing that timer ticking away, they needed that execute to come off. Luckily it did. Maybe looking back, if the bank player could have got in and engaged a little quicker, maybe, just maybe, it would have bought them enough time, Endpoint, to hold off that bomb plant and pick it up on time. But very, very difficult situation to find yourselves in. Aaron with the fire takes down TM Bro. Numbers back in favour of Endpoint, and maybe they can put this CT round back in their favour now as well. Will AGF be too tempted to go in one at a time? Chris has walked himself up to sandbags on short, using the smoke for cover. And Nate's given the game away, and Pulse trying to spray. Maybe expecting a boost, but he was over the head. And Chris trying to return fire, spraying blindly through the smoke. No damage came of that though. Mighty Max, he's making his way in from connector, trying to make noise more than anything. The water player jumps in. That gives away his position. Max initially didn't know that he was up there and that close. Notan with a frag. Chris with a frag. They're trying to make their entry then. Aaron and Weber trade straight back. Endpoint have the numbers advantage. Mighty Max is could have made his way in from connector. Where is he going though? He's on his bike, going all the way, the long way around. And Weber at Graffiti against Curly with the AWP. That will have a short pause coming in after this round. Curry's given away his position, cracking off an AWP shot in the direction of the window. Weber just going to stick it. Max going to just use his body for cover. Allows Weber to stick the defuse. And that was a nicely executed retake. 9-4 in favour of Endpoint. Got to beware the reset. A couple of rebuys needed. Thanks back in time. Max with the ump in hand, not really having success in the connector area so far. Maybe now he's got to play in behind. Just maybe. Hearing Notan right next to him firing off bullets. We're not committing to it just yet. Those bullets are doing absolutely nothing to anybody other than making a stack load of noise over towards the B site. And Notan taken down to 9 points of health now. Let's get back to where the action is. So Aaron, he's picked up one from Monster and Chris. He's up on short. Trying to flush Pulse out. He's not having it. That's when the toilets gets TM Bro. See now, less than a minute left to go on the clock. Notan makes his way over towards the garden. Aaron gets one. Luzza cleans up, 10-4. AGF are short on ideas when they are at a disadvantage in terms of numbers. They can get themselves an early pick from somewhere, they're all right, and they don't mind going to commit somewhere, but aside from a few rounds where they were pushing together as a team, they tend to go a bit one at a timing. There's not enough full concerted efforts onto any one bomb site or any one approach. As Mighty Max is going to get a spray down, that will help him pad his numbers just a little bit. So a 2K for him. Weber helping him out from long. Similar to the Inferno A site defense when you're playing towards A of overpass, you really need to work together as a unit. You need to both push up, and then you both need to step back. There's no real point having one of you pushed up and then one of you sitting passive, really. If one gets in trouble, the other can't help out. And that connector area. And it's tempting to watch the connector area and see what happens in there, but it's not that influential in itself. If you pop up connector on your way towards A, you've still got a long way to go and a lot of angles to cross before you can do any real damage. And again, same into B. It gets you into water on short, but you've still got to then actually attack short on Monster. 4v2 Sitch. Luzza just waiting patiently for the cross to come in. Gets one. Should get the second. No, his AK's jumping about all over the shop. He hasn't got Aaron's effortless rifle control, or at least not in that instance. Probably why he favours the AWP as Endpoint bring that one home. 11-4 it is as they open up on their T side. And from this point, they are in the driving seat. If they can pick themselves up the T side pistol, 12-4. And there's no free opportunities like bomb plants for AGF to get money in the bank, so that's going to have to keep on going as it pans out. It's a double eco regardless, so they'll probably force into it. It's going to allow Endpoint to get to 14-4. Puts an immense amount of pressure on the first buy versus buy, and if that doesn't pan out, then Endpoint sitting on 15 rounds, AGF with no money in the coffers. Yeah, I think we can pretty much call that GG. Often a short pause before these second halves get underway, so we won't go for a short break just yet, unless we get indication that it's going to be a while. So I just want to say a little shout out to our sponsors again, HyperX, Overclockers, Raven and Noble Chairs for supporting Endpoint. So if you want to support Endpoint, other than buying a jersey from Raven, and the Endpoint jerseys do look awesome, by the way, they're well worth checking out. You can catch the boys in action in EPS at 9 PM UK time. Head over to the Endpoint Twitter, give them a follow, and from there you'll be able to get all the information on the games that are commentated on this channel and elsewhere. The link is up for that game in EPS. And let me have a quick check now and see who that game's going to be against. Let's see now. (9 PM) against Fish 123. Okay. Well, that could be a tough challenge. I think the Endpoint boys have already lost to Fish 123 over the last couple of weeks, but by the same token, we have witnessed their fortunes starting to move a little more in the right direction. Had a 500 record in ESEA main. Picked up a couple of wins since then, and looks like they're going to add to it once again if the first half is anything to go by. Firmly in control of this contest right now. Plenty of time for that to all turn around, of course. Here we go then with the first half. Will Endpoint learn from AGF's mistakes? I'd have hoped so. Pulse in particular, and Aaron to a point, filling their boots with T players coming out one at a time. Then they'll avoid doing the same thing. So see they're already stacking up, looking to commit onto this short B. One player going to come in from Monster. Chris up in the window, spamming around, pretty much missing every one of those shots so far, but Notan chips in. Chris with one as well as the bomb plant comes in, so that's some vital cash. That's one step further for Endpoint than AGF are able to do over towards the B side, but here comes the retake, where the last man, down he goes. But they have got a plant in, so that's a start. Some money in the bank for them to work with. Let's see what Endpoint got cooking up now then. Molotov's going to stop any monster pushes, at least for the time being. We're just going to see some patient build-up. Weber holding back, looking for an overcommittal from the B players. Tempted with the SMG to try and peek. Often with the show of a foot. Right, Max goes for the wiggle peek, and Curie's able to pick up the two players as they make their way in. That didn't quite go to plan. Don't think they were expecting him to be just sitting there casually waiting, and it's almost a surprise. It was like, is that a foot sticking out? Yes, it was. So TM Bro grabs Pulse. Aaron and Luzza against 5. Potentially, if a frag comes out, and this could continue on to site, get a blunt down. Put the money in the bank. But TM Bro, that's his 3rd of the round, I believe. And yes, it is. Endpoint's advantage closing to 5 rounds. We see 4 AKs and a Galil. Committing up against full utility, full head armor. And 3 M4s in the hands of the AGF guys. Against the AKs, it's one-shot headshot even with the armor, so not a huge advantage to have that right now as TM Bro makes use of the boost. Grabs the Mighty Max straight away. 2 players in the connector, Pulse gets 1. Aaron trades out as well, and Aaron might have a chance for another as Fagan tries to get out of dodge, and does. 68 points of health still left. So one of the players out of connector catches an nade. Weber catches Curie as he tries to get on his bike through into short. That's a nice setup from Endpoint, actually. Aside from that cheeky little boost to shut Max down, they've pretty much had map control. "40 seconds left to go. No need to panic." Site each, I'd imagine. No, both over towards B. Okay. Endpoint maybe can't believe their luck that they're getting no challenge whatsoever. So 2 players from AGF. Let's have a look at the finances. Probably could force up next time out. But looking to save the M4s and the armor. Maybe grab themselves an exit frag. Do a little bit of economic damage to the Endpoint boys if they pick up any exits, but they've fallen well back, and they're going to let that tick away. Keeping all their weapons in the process, as the remaining 2 AGF players. Now, I touched on it a few rounds ago. The issue of the connector. 2 AGF players went into connector. They worked the boost, they got the pick on Max, but from that point when they fell out into the party area, which was left unabated, it allowed the crossfire to come in, and for Aaron and Weber, I believe it was, to pick up those 2 players straight off the bat. From there it opened up the A site. A little foolish in my opinion, overcommitting to the connector. There's Chris, he's standing in fire, he's in a bit of trouble. Aaron gets 1, as does Pulse. Aaron with his 2nd on the spray down over towards long. Chris does get 1, that's Luzza, but he'll be getting vital information as Pulse steps out. Doesn't care about the fire, he just wants that extra frag to add to his tally. Leaving Curie last man standing against 4. See what you can do from there, not a lot. So yeah, I don't think connector has the same draw to it. You can understand on something like Cash playing 2 in mid because of how important that area can be if you leave that completely open. Connector, not so much. I mean, I've played with and against players that just have this flair for connector, and they can get in there and mix it up and cause real problems for a team on CT side. But you know, if you don't have that in your team, it doesn't matter. Just play 2 on one side, 3 in the other, and just be super passive. Notan gets 1 before he's traded away. Curie gets Pulse as he steps up to try and trade again. Luz are able to catch him. 3v3. Chris down the low HP, all around the fountain. That's going to open up a route into the B site for the Bomber. It's Mike Max. They are clearing, being super cautious. 1 up in short. Max got planted in the smoke. Comes off it, gets back on it. Knows he's got cover from his teammate now. Luzzer catches Chris. Luzzer acting as the man coming in from behind. It's worked well, he's got 2. Last man up and short. 1 HP and a dream. The ex-Australia stand-in goes down. Endpoint 14, the 6th. AGF going to be committing to this. Full spend, everyone down to very little. So if they don't pick this one up, they're going to be scrubbing together what they can. Pouring out their change on the counter, grabbing every last bit of utility that they can to try and hold off one more Endpoint onslaught. Luzzer in a connector. He's going to get that frag on connector. That's TM Bro going down. Mike Max is going to get 1, make it 2. Trading out on Weber, who went down. Don't know why the AGF players were so committed to that. I'll be completely honest. On an eco, maybe if you get an inkling that there's a player short, you might want to push him en masse and try and pick up a weapon off him, but didn't pan out on that occasion. Endpoint are a very experienced, very well-drilled team, and they will cover each other and they will refrag. Something which at the level I play at is very rare. To the point of a simple mechanic like trading frags. I have to applaud it when someone on my team does that, when my death is completely in vain. Pagan stepping out into the open, but he's walked into a bear pit wearing a meat dress. 3 players looking in his direction. That's opened up the A site. Plant's going to come in from Endpoint. Probably 15-6 on the board here, unless Notan can go huge. I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt and some reverb, although I think he's probably just going to go for an epic save. Walking into underpass, that's exactly what he's going to do. So a little look at the scoreboard then. TM Bro dropped to 20 bomb for AGF. Interesting, as has Aaron. That's picked up by Notan, who's going to trade up for the AK instead. Wants that one-shot headshot action. 5 bullets, 5 kills. Next time out, he's hoping. Max struggling a little to get going. 5 and 13. He had the thankless task of trying to work from connector on CT side, and more often than not, since AGF weren't too committed to the push all that often, you know, Max would find himself trying to come in, and there's still players sitting in water. 2-3 ready to deal with him, throw flashes in his direction. Often the team would play a little faster, they would engage the site, and you can strike it lucky rotating from behind and pick up plenty of easy frags. So Notan with 1, Curie with 1, Notan with the spray down gets 2 before Max is able to trade him out. 2 more players over towards Monster, looking in that direction where the bomb is planted. Curie hitting everything, including teammates. They clean that one up, and they live to fight another day. 15-7 though, Endpoint in the driving seat. Plenty of money in the bank to swap around and grab what weapons they need. And you wouldn't put it past them to close this one out pretty quickly. AGF are too aggressive, CT side. I think would be my summary of it. I'm going to get on board actually and see what they're doing in the garden. See, how often do we see Endpoint push all the way up to Fountain like that? And in fact, actually, they've got 3 players now walking into Connector. This could be huge, or this could be game over. Let's have a little flick around and see what's going on. Endpoint just hanging back, watching the angles, waiting for anything. I think if AGF had got aggressive, Endpoint would have been equal to it at this, with how they've set this one up. But now they need to decide what they want to do. Probably be leaning towards B. TMBro catches some kind of utility. He's down to 20 points of health. Luzza with a frag on Notan. Forty seconds left as Aaron gets a frag up onto short. Max still holding the bomb. That's Weber, he's got Curie. Weber's watching behind, so that must have been someone trying to rotate in that way. TMBro with his 20 bomb. Falling out towards A, which is actually where Endpoint have wrapped back to. They need to work quickly here. Weber with the frag on TMBro. Wow, okay, that'll do. 1v5. Fagan gets 2 kills. Can they get this bomb up? Yes, Pulse is going to pick it up. He's going to plant that. He's planting it bankside though. Fagan, I don't blame him. Probably wasn't expecting the plant to be there. Surely would have been expected to be planted the other side. That's why he wasn't able to step out, stop the plant and win the round for his team. Don't think we'll be too harsh on him for that, but I was ready to sing his name, Fagan. Could have picked up a 5K and kept themselves alive, but a very, very strong performance from Endpoint.